Digitization is really changing our labor markets in very deep ways. It's changing the number of jobs, how we work, where we work, and who actually does work. So really profound changes that's going to reshape our labor markets. A lot of new opportunities for many workers, but also a number of challenges to adapt to these very rapid changes. The main challenge is actually that I don't believe that will be what sometimes is called technological unemployment. We're not probably facing a large mass unemployment, but I think the challenge is more inequalities into the labor market. There will be some workers who have the right skills that actually would have been able to access new, dynamic, productive, rewarding career jobs, while others may be at risk of sliding into low-pay, more unstable type of jobs. So more inequality, but not necessarily more unemployment as such. So major challenges. And of course, one of the way to go is to make sure that workers have the right skills and can adapt their skills during their working life to be able to seize the new opportunity that will emerge in the labor market. First of all, the important point about digitalization is that we are not talking about only low skills. Actually, if you look at the data already out there in Europe and in other advanced economies, you see what we call a polarization of the labor market. So the labor market, the labor demand is going for high skill, no routine jobs, but also for a number of relatively low skill, no routine jobs. The whole of the middle, where actually jobs are declining, are intermediate skill, where the activities are fairly repetitive, routine type of jobs. So there are a number of jobs and workers in the middle of the distribution who may be at risk of either losing their job or having to reconvert themselves into the new task a new job will actually require. Of course, education is essential. We need to ensure that people during the education period acquire the right foundation skills, but also sometimes the soft skills which are better taught and learned at work than in the classroom. So how to work in a team, how to basically be creative, how to adapt during the working life. This kind of skill will be more in demand going forward. But I think the other bigger agenda is for all of those already into the labor market who might not have the right skills, might be weak in terms of digital skills, to be able to adapt. Some of the data we have from the OECD suggests that depending on the countries, in between 40 and 50% of the workers today in the labor market have very little or no digital skills. Not everyone should be a coder, but the important thing is to be able to use the new digital economy in an effective way in the workplace. So lifelong learning, allowing people to adapt the skill during the working life, that's a big challenge. Well, certainly there are a number of very good examples in Europe, in the Nordic countries, but also in countries, the Netherlands or in the United Kingdom, in which there is a closer link between the world of work and the world of education. So there is much more dialogue. So to some extent, the curricula of the education system, both upper secondary and university, are more linked to the needs of the labor market. Other countries, including a number of southern European countries, are doing less well in actually linking the world of work and the world of education. That's to build the skills. Unfortunately, most countries, even the Nordic countries of Europe, are not doing so well in making sure that on-the-job learning, lifelong learning, training for adults reduce the inequalities in the labor market. In most of the countries, the most skilled people receive more training, the least skilled people receive less training. So to some extent, on-the-job learning tend to widen inequalities instead of reducing them. Well, the other big challenge is that the world of work is changing also in terms of the contract, the type of work, the contract type. There is a lot of discussion about the platform economy, the Uber drivers, and so on and so forth. It's a small phenomenon. There are not that many workers working for the platform economy, but certainly it's a phenomenon that's going to increase going forward. The problem is that our labor market institution, our social policy, are not organized around this new type of contracts. Most of our labor market policy and institutions and social policy are geared towards a relationship between an employer and employee. The idea is that people work for an employer full-time during the entire career. Now there are many more people working as independent workers but linked to the platform economy, maybe having 2 or 3 jobs and changing job very rapidly. Our institutions are not organized around this new type of working. In 19 of the OECD countries, if you're an independent worker, you are not allowed to receive unemployment insurance if you lose your job. In 10 of the OECD countries, if you have an accident at work and you are an independent worker, you are not covered, you are not protected. So there's a lot to be done to adapt our policy, our institution to these new realities in our labor market. Again, many opportunities, but also new challenges. Well, there are a number of examples. A country like Estonia, for example, is now regulating in an interesting way the new platform economy, making sure that workers working for the platform economy pay contributions so they are insured. And also the company themselves actually pay taxes. I think there's a lot to be learned from that experience. There is a lot of effort that is done in a number of countries to somewhat strengthen more the apprenticeship programs as a way for young people to actually move from the world of education to the world of work, also in the digital context, to some extent using some of the new digital tools that are available in the way of learning, again, on the job, but also in a more standard classroom. So that's, I think, is another important example. There are the Nordic countries. Sweden is a very good example in which workers at risk of losing their job because of structural changes, because of automation and so on, are actually supported before they lose the job. There is a lot of planning, support, guidance for them actually to move into a new job even before they are actually dismissed from the old job. Other countries actually wait for the person to become unemployed, to start looking for a new job before actually any intervention actually is proposed to them. So there's a lot to be learned within Europe on different ways in which these structural changes actually can be less worrying and problematic for all of those workers who would be affected by that.